All right. Hey guys. And we are live. Um Wayne Philmore here. I'm your host. I'm your man for the day or for the night, depending on where you are around the globe, because of course we know the earth is not flat. But tonight we're gonna be talking about why is there something rather than nothing? Why is there a universe at all? And why is there just not a bunch of nothingness? This has been a question that philosophers have been pondering for hundreds of thousands of years. And I truly doubt that we are going to completely answer this question tonight. But I do have a group of really admirable Christian thinkers. And as a matter of fact, I actually need some contrarians on the panel. So if you're an atheist or a skeptic, or you hold to a different view than the Christian position, say you want the link. Message me on Google Hangouts, and I will send you the link because we definitely do need to have a philosophical mountain pot. Somebody said the question is ultimately pointless, and the question is ultimately pointless to you, big potato person or cyborg setter. So, first, I actually want to start off this conversation by saying that um, this week, or actually for the last 2 weeks, last week I bought one book, and this week I bought another new book. And one of the books I had bought, Hugh Ross, I had bought Why the Universe Is the Way It Is. And I bought that last Thursday. And then today, I bought another book by another astrophysicist who I look up to. And the name of that book is Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. So, as you guys know, I am pursuing a doctorate degree in astrophysics, and so that's what I aspire to be when I grow up. And not only do I just look at the astrophysics and the science when I look into these things, but I think it's also good to look at the to try and extract the theology out of the science. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is a very great scientist, but when it comes to him making philosophical statements or giving his opinions, I do think that he doesn't have the bigger picture. And so that's basically what led me to have this discussion, because depending on your theological perspective, that's how you will interpret the scientific data, which I don't have a problem with.
Was there anything in particular that Neil deGrasse Tyson said?
So that's a good question, because I actually did record something that he did say. But first, I do want to say with us, because I have like cue cards set up. Um, when it comes to the science, it seems like as we keep on progressing as a society, as a race, we tend to telescope further back and find out more and more that our existence is very trivial. We are not very special, it seems, when it comes to the science. As fact, the science would show that the universe really didn't have to exist at all. So a better question is, why is there universe? And Carl Sagan, he actually said this. He said, "We're Johnny come latelys. We live in the cosmic boondocks. We emerge from microbes and muck. Apes are cousins. Our thoughts and feelings are not fully under our own control. There may be much smarter and very different beings elsewhere. And on top of all this, we're making a mess of our planet and becoming a danger to ourselves." Which is so true. So once again, it seems like this universe is not very contingent. And Neil deGrasse Tyson says in his book, in the preface, he says this: "The universe is under no obligation to make sense to you." And my response is, but Neil, it does. The universe does make sense to us. Psalm 19 says this. It says, "The heavens are declaring the glory of God, and their expanse shows the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard, yet their message goes out into all the world, and their words to the ends of the earth. Psalm 19 is making a proclamation that the universe actually communicates with us, with us sentient beings. In a sense, from a scientific standpoint, I will argue that the universe definitely does communicate to us, and the universe communicates to us in numbers. And so I think that this verse, I think it does have some theological basis to what we see in the natural world. The universe does speak to us, and it teaches us. When we write down equations, when we're doing physics, we are not making these things up out of thin air. We are simply extracting our data from our observations. We are basically just looking at what we see in nature, and we are just interpreting the language of the cosmos. So with that being said, I guess I'll open up the discussion. I know some of you guys have some stuff to say. I got General, Hunter, and Chihuahua. And if any of you guys want to come in, I just say you do, and I'll try and shoot you a link in Hangouts. Chihuahua, Hunter, General.
Sorry, what I missed what you said.
I said now I'm going to open the floor.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we kind of operate based upon the assumption that the universe is going to make sense to us, right? Don't you think?
What the hell?
Right, I would think
because
so.
Because I mean that's kind of what science is founded on. If nothing's going to make sense to us, that would be basically the same as assuming. So a lot of atheists will talk about methodological naturalism, and part of the reason why they talk about that is because if we had a god coming in and randomly messing with things, we couldn't really test anything in science, right? We can't really test whether God's doing that. Well, we also can't test whether or not some things are just happening without making sense at all, right? So I mean, I think that the methodological naturalism assumption would also apply to his statement that the universe doesn't make sense.
And I have more people coming in. Hey, Pew, and hey, Thaddeus.
Hey.
Hey. So why do you guys think there is something rather than nothing? Really weird question, too.
Well, I'll be honest. I kind of just clicked on a link that was sent to me in a Facebook group. I have no idea what the topic is.
The topic is, why is there something rather than nothing?
Oh. Well, I don't know if I have anything to add about that.
Well,
I wish I did. I really do. Damn it, Robert.
I mean, if
I
there
blame
wasn't,
you for this.
The something exists so that we can experience the beauty of Pew.
Oh, you see, there we go.
Right.
Oh, see,
There we go.
See, now I gotta pull up the minicam. In general, you know what's coming.
Well, Thaddeus, I guess I'll turn the camera on to you.
Well, I think there's something because if there wasn't something, I mean, we wouldn't have even nothing to base nothing on, because then the nothing wouldn't exist either, because you need the something to even contemplate what nothing even is. So if something didn't exist, was there even be a nothing to compare it to?
That's a good point.
There might not even be nothing.
Yeah, there's
how's that for the stupid philosophical talk?
Well, I heard someone say at one point that the concept of nothingness was inherently unstable. I don't know if you guys have touched on that.
Are you talking?
No, we didn't touch on that yet. But what I would like to say is, somebody once said, "Nothing is what rocks dream of."
I think there's something because God exists. So
But the person who said that nothing is unstable, I forgot his name. He's the guy who debated with William Lane Craig, like over several different ones.
Lawrence Krauss.
Yeah, he wasn't actually talking about nothing. He just defined something as nothing, pretty much.
Well, when we say nothing, we mean nothing in like the philosophical sense. We don't mean nothing in like the cosmological, empty space type of sense, like the quantum vacuum type of thing.
Well, in that case, I don't know if, and general physics guy could probably explain it better than I could, but I don't know if we're not talking about a real nothing, like the nothing that Krauss and other physicists talk about, which really isn't like a philosophical notion of nothing. I don't know if I don't know if the philosophical definition of nothing represents anything meaningful then.
I don't think so, but it's not my hangout.
I mean, Hugh Ross actually catalogs 9 different types of nothing, astrophysics and
Well, by its
Wait, can you hear me?
definition, it's something. Because if there was nothing to catalog, you shouldn't be able to catalog about anything.
And
They're
the
all something.
philosophical thing.
No. He catalogs
Yeah.
through the last, say, 2 centuries of how people have defined nothing.
Yeah, I hear you, but by that definition, that's something. Because if it was nothing, then you shouldn't be able to catalog anything.
General,
So
at one point
Right.
At one point wasn't the ether considered nothing or something like that?
No.
No.
Okay.
No,
That's still
not
something.
correct.
I think the issue with Krauss is that he just kind of is coming out of this position that is materialism, and then they're like, oh, well, anything that's not material is nothing, pretty much. And then once they found out that, oh, wait, materialism isn't true, you can have something exist without space, he just called that nothing.
It seems like if it seems like to me if the materialistic worldview is correct, or I guess their interpretation of the data is correct, the story of the universe is very boring. The universe is the way it is because it is, and I don't really think that really answers anything. That just kind of states the obvious over again.
If I play a Lawrence Krauss clip, will that be subject to copyright on this channel?
He'll get strike. If it were my channel, I'll let you do it. But this isn't my channel.
Yeah, so don't do it. Well, I mean, and if you did that, that would be a something.
Yes, that would be something. But I do have a quote from Hugh Ross, and he said this in the beginning. I think this was a preface of Why is the Universe the Way It Is. Scientific curiosity arises from the desire to understand the way things work. People want to understand how things like gravity, electricity, and magnetism, as well as things like organisms, function. That type of curiosity stimulated Newton's question about why apples fall to the ground, Darwin's question about why the finches on one of the Galapagos Islands had larger beaks than those on another, and my question about why the stars are hot. Spiritual curiosity is driven by the quest for meaning and coherence. This source of cosmic why questions combine reason and imagination, logic, and speculation. And so, touching on that quote, I would say that it seems to me that if the opposing view is correct, I don't think it really gives a very satisfying answer.
Well, that doesn't matter if it's satisfying, right? It's more about what's true. I mean, I'm not saying that is the answer, but if it was the answer, I don't think it would make it any less true. I feel like using the answer satisfactory is not good. That's not really a good case. Like, sure, technically you can say there's no objective meaning to life if that is the case. Everything is just material. But you know what? I'm pretty content in making up my own meaning. I mean, that's what I wish I could do with good confidence without having to think about the fact that there is an objective meaning over me, but I guess not everybody can do that.
And I do have one more thing, one more quote, because I told you guys I did cue cards before I did this. I have one more quote that kind of it's more like a response to what you said. This is C.S. Lewis responding to what you just said, Thaddeus. So you're fighting against him, not me. The Christian says, creatures are not born with desires unless satisfaction for those desires exists. A baby feels hunger. Well, there is such a thing as food. A duckling wants to swim. Well, there is such a thing as water. Men feel sexual desire. Well, there is such a thing as sex. If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. If none of my earthly pleasures satisfy it, that does not prove that the universe is a fraud. Probably earthly pleasures were never meant to satisfy it, but only to arouse it, to suggest the real thing.
I don't know. I mean, I've been pretty satisfied by stuff that I do. The only reason why I still pursue more is because it's just not quite up to the level that I want it at yet. I mean, my hobbies and that cost money. My career goals and that, it's not cheap, and it's not easy to build up the fan base and stuff I want. So I think like if I could get to a point where I am satisfied, you just have to have a clear goal in mind. Some people usually don't know what they want. I think that's the problem.
Well, a couple of minutes ago, when I basically gave my own opinion in that quote, what I meant by satisfying was more in the sense that it doesn't seem to be the best explanation. Like when it comes to looking at the data, the universe is like I said, the universe is one, it's very big, and two, it's very, very complex. The universe is intelligible, it's responsive, hence general relativity. And for such a very big, intelligible, rational universe to have such a simple answer to it, I don't think it properly explains the data that we have.
Okay. I think it's more of a, I think that's more of a communication issue then, because I thought when you said satisfying, you meant, if God doesn't exist, that would suck. That's what it kind of sounded like you were going when you said it's satisfying.
Well, yeah.
It's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's satisfying conclusion. If somehow that could be the truth that he doesn't exist, that's the truth.
Well, yeah, that's the truth. But what I'm saying is not even just about God, but I mean, it seems like there certainly is like something bigger. I was watching Doctor Strange, and if you guys ever saw it, Doctor Strange is talking to the Ancient One, and she basically told him in the end, she said, "It's not about you." And so, like in that sense, I do think that, as big as the universe is and as grand as it is, I think that the universe is at least showing us or communicating to us that it's not about us necessarily. This has got to be like the groundwork for something way bigger.
Maybe there's a bigger alien race out there that's going to take us over or something.
Possibly, but I would just end my argument.
Science fiction.
I would just end my argument, and I would definitely say, like, it seems like our existence is contingent, and if that turns out to be the case, then it certainly would be reasonable to believe that there is something else out in the universe that's necessary for our existence.
Yeah, I have like a quote on this. So, well, it's kind of like just an argument. It's like, whatever exists must have that in virtue of which it is distinguished from nothing, either in itself or from another. And so my position would be that things that exist because they have that which distinguishes it from nothing.
Okay.
And of course, ultimately, I would argue that's God.
Okay.
But I mean, that shows that there has to be some kind of explanation for why things exist.
Yeah, there's an explanation. I just don't think it's necessarily God. Doesn't mean that I believe that necessarily. Like, yeah, I do believe that there's a God, but I don't think that's the only possible explanation. It could something else could have caused things, but
well, like what?
Well, who knows? Maybe we just haven't just throwing that hypothetical out there. Maybe there's just something that hasn't been discovered yet that caused everything.
Mm.
Who knows? Maybe it could have happened in naturalistic means. I'm not going to rule that completely out, because I'm not 100%, certain. No way I could be wrong. Gonna go that strict out there and say that, yeah, of course, a god or a deity made everything.
Well,
it seems the most likely to me because of my beliefs in that. But
I do say like something that could definitely help is try and get to like the best explanation is using abduction. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, even though a lot of people don't like him, he's the guy who he wrote Sherlock Holmes, and a principle that he goes by that it helps me a lot. Is he said, once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must therefore be true. And so I don't think it's impossible that God did create the universe and start up and stuff like that. But because all the other explanations are less, probable than the God hypothesis, I'll take my chances with that until I get more evidence, and then I can change my opinion based on the new data.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if what you're talking about is some kind of contingent thing, some kind of thing that just exists out of probability, like it's possible thing that could exist but doesn't necessarily exist, then I don't see how it could distinguish itself from nothing, because something that's merely possible is nothing. So
the fact you're even describing something like that proves it's a something right there. Because nothing is nothing.
Nothing is what rockets dream of.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying that I agree that some possible things exist for sure.
Right. But you're saying if something, was not distinguishable, whatever, but it's like the fact you're even describing something, therefore, if you really want to get technical, that can no longer be nothing anymore. Because you're describing a something, you're giving it properties. So if you want to go down this ridiculous rabbit hole, you can.
Well, no, if something's possible, it isn't something. It's merely, so like, for example, it's possible that I am the president of the United States. That doesn't mean I'm actually the president of the United States.
Right, but that concept, since you've just said it, now it's a something.
As a concept, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's no longer nothing. Concepts are still something.
Yeah,
well,
but it's
you may be confusing the map for the place, honestly. Like you may be mistaking the description of nothing for nothing itself. Like if no things exist, then a description of nothing also couldn't exist. What do you have to say about that, Joseph?
Well, as a KJV onlyist and a trans girl, I want to skip over that topic a little bit, and I want to go on the satisfaction thing, because again, as a trans woman, I'm never satisfied. It doesn't matter how many hormone pills I take or how much surgery I get. I'm just never satisfied, and I'm going to kill myself. Goodbye.
Joseph went full troll mode.
Hey, why'd y'all kick Joseph? I think he was getting at something.
Nah, he just.
We hate trannies.
You know what? You guys are just so mean. I don't even want to be in a hangout with people like you.
Oh my God. Wow.
Well, to be fair, the topic is a little.
That escalated so quickly.
The topic is a little weird, I'll say. At least for someone like me who's not a philosopher at all. Except for maybe in the very basic sense, if you think all thinking is philosophy and science is philosophy.
Thaddeus, have you thought about like what is art by any chance?
Yeah, of course.
What do you think art is?
Basically, art is an expression of your, I guess, your inner self, but you're putting it in some sort of medium, like a painting or a play or a movie or a TV show or a drawing or a song. Or even, in a way, role-playing, like some sort of performance kind of art. That can still be art.
So do you think you're kind of expressing like some inner truth within you or something like that.
Yeah. Because even if you're just drawing or just doodling or just fooling around with it, I mean, that's still kind of a part of you. I mean, there's a part of you that just wanted to fool around or whatnot. So I still think that's just as valid. I might not understand it. I don't necessarily have to agree with it. I might be able to say that that's kind of a stupid thing, but it has an audience. Then sure, whatever, it's art. It's like the difference between abstract and representational stuff. I'm more of a representational person, but it's not like just because I don't necessarily get a lot of abstract art, I'm going to say, oh, it's not art, like some people would.
Well, so I mean, I guess where I'm kind of getting with this is like I was thinking about how art is kind of like representation of like whenever you make something, you're trying to represent what's within you. You're trying to represent the truth, and I don't think that just anything can be art within you. You're trying to communicate the truth in some kind of perfect way.
Okay. Well, I mean, when you say truth, it depends how you use that word, because sometimes you might be describing something that's more of a fantasy, right? Because as a fiction author, I've done a lot of fiction type things, so. Or even songwriting, you use a lot of hyperbole in that.
Right, but I think even with that, you have to kind of communicate some underlying truth. Otherwise, people will not be able to identify with it, right?
Right, like there's usually some sort of underlying theme. Not all the time. Sometimes, you make a picture or whatnot, and people kind of get their own meaning out of it. There's some art things I've done just for me. Be it not very many, but they're out there.
Alrighty. Well, not to throw off the conversation too far, but I was just thinking, so the idea of God would be that he contains the perfections of all things within him. So if that's what you're kind of looking for in art, kind of like the perfection of these forms, the ultimate perfection would be within God. And then the ultimate truth would be within God.
Well, I'm not really looking for perfections. I'm just looking to express myself, really. Like, I'm just looking to, maybe improve my skills in a few areas or whatnot, and then use it to the best of my abilities to tell the stories I want to tell, draw the drawings I want to draw, and kind of have them looking a little more the way I want them, instead of being limited by my current skill level. Same with my music.
Well, wouldn't you say that like the statue of David, for example, by Michelangelo, is more beautiful than, say, a kid's drawing of a stick figure or something like that?
Yeah, but only in the sense of the skill level. I mean, as far as which one means more, that's actually a hard one to say, because sometimes, not all the time, but I have siblings, and sometimes some of the stick figures and that my siblings that have done where they draw the family or whatever, that can be really meaningful, especially to me, right? You see like a family portrait or whatnot where it's like me, the older brother, then they draw themselves and their younger sister or whatever, then the mom and the dad. In some ways, that means a lot more to me than some sort of Michelangelo thing, because I don't have that sort of personal connection there. Or, I don't quite know the motivation behind it, what the emotions or whatever they're trying to represent. It's the same thing with a classical song. As a musician, I can speak on this. Sometimes with a more classical song versus a more modern day song that uses electronic instruments or whatnot. Some people will go right away and say, oh yeah, the classical song is, it's way better. It's like it has more emotion. There's a lot more instrument changes and all that. Electronic song, it was made using electronic instruments, and there's lyrics over it. And some of the lyrics might be crass or whatever. But it's like, if I can relate to one more than the other, whichever one it is, that's going to be the one I find more meaningful. Now I could say that on a technical skill set, I could say, you know what, maybe the classical composition has more, more, I guess, skill level behind it in more of a, I guess, in-depth kind of way. But as far as which one has more emotional weight, it's going to be the one I can relate to. That's going to be the one that I consider, in my mind, to be
True. Yeah, I guess there would be a
more
difference
art to me.
between what you can identify with and what is more beautiful, in a sense. Possibly.
I guess, but even then, I can consider, I guess the less skillful thing more beautiful in a way,
Wait,
because I can relate to it more.
are you trying to say that because the universe is beautiful, then that means that God or something?
No. What I'm saying is that since he is ultimately searching, he's kind of a more artistic person. Since he's ultimately searching for beauty, what I'm saying is that God would be the ultimate form of beauty. So what he's ultimately seeking for and seeking for beauty is God. That's my argument.
Carl Sagan said something similar. He said, through the vastness, he said the vastness is only, I think he said, acceptable through love. And then, hence, the Bible says God is love. So I just thought that was kind of funny.
Well,
and Carl Sagan is an atheist, so.
And I don't know if I'm actually seeking that. I'm more seeking to basically, I guess, express myself and build up an audience. But I mean, hey, if you want to interpret that as me seeking for beauty, I mean, go ahead. But I don't know. Not everybody's seeking this weird sort of grandiose sort of satisfaction. Someone like me, I have a little more of a, I guess, down to earth kind of, I guess, motivations.
Well, I mean, you don't have to ultimately be seeking God, because obviously a lot of people aren't, because that's why we have things like hell. But but the idea would be that none of these things will perfectly satisfy you. You'll always be looking for more and more beauty, more and more perfection inside of this beauty, and you'll never be completely satisfied. Even if you're not ultimately searching for it, you'll never be completely satisfied until you receive a vision of God.
I disagree. I think it depends on the person, actually. I've seen a lot of people that they go through things in their lives, and I feel it's because they themselves aren't really, I guess, they, like, again, when you say they're not satisfied, I feel like a lot of people don't really know what it takes for them, I guess, to be satisfied. And I think they don't know what they're looking for. I think somebody has a clear idea of what they want. I think it could be a little bit of a different scenario. I mean, I have two different friends, like, use an example without using their names. There's one that both of them are not really shooting for anything. I mean, as far as like what they want to do with careers or what, I don't even know if any of them have really thought about it. Maybe one has given it a little more thought than the other. But the difference between the two is that one doesn't know what they're looking for, and therefore seems to get themselves into trouble and is depressed and all that. And there's a lot of major stuff going on in his life that's probably contributing that to as well. But the thing is, I think part of it is that he doesn't really have a goal, as it seemed like he's really shooting for, and he's not satisfied where he is, almost because he doesn't feel like, I guess, life doesn't seem to really have too much of a purpose to him. Meanwhile, the other, he's kind of more satisfied with that. Kind of the same sort of scenario, He's not living life, the high life, but at the same time, he's not super poor either. But he's kind of grown satisfaction with the type of life that he has. Like, he knows what he wants out of life, and he just kind of pursues it. And if you try to basically say, oh, you're missing out, oh, this is, one of these days, you're going to go downhill and start taking drugs and go to therapists because you probably messed up your life because you don't know what you're searching for. Like, that would be wrong. At that point, when people start to saying that thing about him, like I did, I realized that was more projection on my part, and maybe other people's parts too. Himself, he was very satisfied with what he was doing. That's kind of life he wants to live. He's not looking for anything else. So honestly, this whole argument about how you're not going to be satisfied on, I think, no offense, it's a bunch of BS. It honestly depends on the person and what they want to do with their lives, and you know, the kind of meaning that they want to assign to it. The problem is that some people just really don't know what they want in life, and maybe because of their personality, just aren't as easily pleased as others. But that's more of an individualistic thing. I don't think that applies to everybody.
So as far as like this conversation is going, like, you know, why is there something rather than nothing? I think Hugh Ross's book is like it makes a very good question. Like, why? So we went past the why is there something rather than nothing, but that is, would you say, because I really didn't get an answer. You say it could be God, it could be something else, but it could be something like outside of ourselves.
Yeah, it could be. As far as what it is, 100% for sure, I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, who would really know 100% for sure? I mean, I'm not. My answer is more my 99.9 kind of answer, right? But I'm just kind of saying, you know what? Material purposes, like, sure. I mean, maybe. I mean, you'd have to really convince me that, you know, the universe was just made by material purposes only. But you know, if I could be convinced, I could be convinced. I keep my mind open to that.
Yeah. I'm not in the same boat because I've already made a decision, but I can definitely see where you're coming from. Like I said, it definitely does seem like there is something like bigger than us, and I would say that something that is bigger than us. I think the best explanation is God. With that being said, I guess I'll turn Hugh Ross's book into a question. Why is the universe the way it is? How would you guys explain that?
What do you mean, like in its physical makeup?
Both physical and philosophical.
Well, I mean, the physical side would just be whatever the scientists say, right? With how the, you know, Big Bang cosmology or whatever.
Right.
And metaphysical, I'm not sure what you mean. Like, I don't know what you mean by why it is. I mean, I don't even know if you agree on what the metaphysical picture is.
What like on a philosophical side, I guess. You know, an atheist actually asked this question to somebody, and it's a good question. He said, "Why did God have to take so long to make everything? How come it took God billions of years to make humans, and etc.? Why wait that long?"
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The question is not that why did he have to or whatnot. I don't think he had to, because if he's really God and can do anything, there shouldn't be any sort of limits. Just that he decided to do it that way. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you? You can't really give a good reason why not. I mean, you sure you could poof things into existence, but I mean, this way here, I mean, there's more science behind it. I mean, you get people like Steve McRae in that are really into the biology aspect of it. I mean, shoot, maybe it gives them more appreciation of God's nature and stuff that way there, instead of just poofing things in existence.
Also, more different kinds of animals can exist over a longer period of time.
Yeah, but you could just poof new animals.
Well, you would get into the problems of how many animals can fit on the earth and whatnot, but
sure. Not really, because if you're God, you'd know exactly how many would be before it overpopulates, and even if it does overpopulate, you could even undo that because you're God.
Or you can make another Earth or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you can just kill the animals with like chaotic events, like God's been doing.
You can just snap your fingers and they're all gone. Like, shoot.
Or you could send a meteorite to destroy the dinosaurs. But I honestly think God took as long as he did. Like you said, because he wanted to. It kind of, well, when you look at the Bible, it fits God's character. God is always like waiting for something. Waiting 2,000 years for Christ, a millennia for Christ to get back, 4 billion years for people to walk the planet, 13 billion years just so we can observe the universe. It seems like God delights in taking these long epochs of time to do stuff. He's very, very patient. And also, with that being said, while God is patiently creating the universe, and waiting for humans. It's almost as if Paul Davies, he said, it seems as if the universe knew that we were coming. And so in the same way that a human prepares a garden, I guess you could say that's the same way the creator prepared the universe for us humans. And he writes in his book, he goes through some different arguments. Like one of them is, this is a really good argument. He says, it takes time for heavy elements to build up. And so for the first 365 million years, the universe only contained 5 elements: hydrogen, helium, and tiny traces of lithium, beryllium, and boron. Life requires 20 or more, he said life requires over 20 different elements heavier than boron. These elements include carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and iron. And then he says none of these were in the early, beginning Big Bang stages of the universe. Those are made through stellar nucleosynthesis in stars. And so God is waiting so long because he's creating the elements so that life can be produced. And then on top of that, if you guys know anything about the sun wasn't even, really able to allow life to be on this planet because its luminosity was too bright. And then one of the last things he says is the universe must be, and then he says it must be 13.73 billion years old, so humans can observe it. A younger universe continuously expanding will be smaller. A smaller space surface means that the light emitting objects, stars, and galaxies would be jammed together. The light by near objects would have blinded us from seeing more distant objects. It took billions of years for cosmic expansion to push the bright lights of the universe far enough apart for optimal visibility. It also took billions of years for the lights of the universe to dim so it won't impair astronomers' viewing. When the Earth was younger, the atmosphere was translucent. When it got to be middle age, it finally became transparent so observers can see the most distant objects in the universe. So that is Hugh Ross's argument for why the universe is as old as it is. And then he has more arguments in the book about why the universe is as big as it is, and how come we're as lonely as we are. And he goes into all these different things. I think the answer
I know that book.
Yeah. I think the answers he gave were really good. I like them.
So
it kind of sucks that he doesn't think there's aliens. But okay.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in aliens. I don't know what to think of aliens. I'm agnostic towards them.
Yeah, but maybe that's because he's not really too much of a science fiction fan.
But since atheists are clearly too scared to come in here, let me play the devil's advocate here.
Wow. Well, you could just send a link. Maybe there's some that do want to come in.
I don't know any. They all run away when I try to talk to them. But anyway, no, I just play.
Wrong. Come on now.
I just want to play devil's advocate here. So why would God use a process of creating man that goes through so much suffering?
Why? Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you guys.
Oh, so yeah, like evolution can, cause suffering and pain, but it's also very beneficial to the population and species do evolve. So a process like evolution, it wouldn't necessarily be a problem in the long run.
I think there's somebody that does want a link. Now I look at the live chat.
You
Multiple
can give
personality.
Yeah. I put the link in the site chat. You just copy and paste and give it to them. Are you on a phone or a computer?
I'm on my phone.
Oh, hold on. I got him.
I could just add him.
Yeah, add him. Yeah.
Let me see here then. Let's go out of the hangout and do the.
Christopher said, I said, does anybody want to come in? And Christopher said, to talk about what? The non-existence of philosophical nothing.
To be fair, it is a weird subject. I'm not even entirely sure why I'm here.
Well, the existence of the universe is pretty much the foundational subject of the great debate community.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm mostly here just to see idiots get pwned, but okay. And idiots make their statements, but sure. Yeah,
But
I'm more here for the entertainment. Kill
you know
me.
what we need? We need Calpern Pizzo. He's like the crazy version, like, you know, the G-mans and the whatevers of atheist, pretty much.
Okay.
There's a lot of entertainment value there. He basically, his whole position is that Christianity is a penis worshipping cult, and everybody has Christ psychosis, and they worship penis. No, wait, penis Christ or something like that.
There were some people that did that in the Old Testament. They were like dancing around a giant phallic symbol, but I don't think Christians do that. At least I haven't went to a church and like people were dancing around like balls and stuff like that.
Maybe you can be the first. I'm kidding.
Doubt it. Don't believe the hype.
Church of Wayne.
Oh, but even going into your question some more. So, with God using evolution, it's a painful process and blah blah blah. It seems like there's this picture. Huh?
So it does nothing for his existence.
No, it doesn't know anything to existence, but it definitely does tell you a lot about his character. And so when you look at trades in evolution, how there's like a trade off, like even how like the dinosaurs traded, they traded, you know, was it like legs for wings or something like that. So it was like a trade for trade. And so in my mind, that trade for trade situation that you see in evolution, that would tell me that it seems like this guy uses certain situations for the better good.
Yeah, because then you get to have birds.
Right. So yeah, it's a shame that like those animals, you know, they went through that painful suffering and dying, and populations dying.
But at the same time, you would not want a T-Rex running around.
Right. Even you know, I know this is kind of corny, but the process of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, it's not like the best process in the world. But at the end of the day, I mean, like when it's done, in the words of Jesus, there is no more anguish, and so God uses these painful processes for them. Huh?
That's actually one of the weirdest things. Maybe it's just the websites I went on, but it's like that's something that it's like no one really seems to know quite how the metamorphosis even happens. It just kind of does. Like there's some sort of hormone that tells the bug, okay, let's make this chrysalis now. No one really knows what goes on inside the chrysalis exactly, or even if it even hurts or anything, it just changes. So,
you know what that means, Thaddeus? You know what that means, right?
What?
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. What?
It means the Earth is flat.
Man, I was actually going to say when you're describing the sun, it's like, well, that depends if you subscribe to the globalist heliocentric model, but the time for that has kind of passed. So,
but yeah, so that's what that would like tell me about God, in my opinion. So I don't see a problem with it at all.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, I think.
But then again, if you ask an old Earth creationist the same question, you'll probably get a different answer because they don't believe in evolution. So. Did somebody just message me? Yes, they did.
Everybody left.
So
Why are
that's-
people still watching?
I have no idea. They had nothing else to do on a Monday.
Yeah. Come on, guys. There's way more things better to do than this.
Well, I think I'm done for tonight. I got to get ready for bed, work in the morning, stuff like that. But this has been fun. I shall talk to you guys whenever I talk to you guys. All
Yeah,
right,
there
guys,
you go.
until next time. Good luck.
All right.
Boom, there you go.